Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to another episode of Two Girls, One Doc.
One doc.
It's your girl BD,
It's Florence, the fiance.
and we back, and I'm drinking today. I took it back to basics. I am just having a cheeky barefoot pink Moscato.
Okay.
I know. I thought let me just go back to my roots. My true
Go back
self.
to the roots.
Right. Can we assume that you're drinking the Costco? What's it called?
Yeah, you can. I'm saving
What's
the
it called?
calories
Kirkland.
for.
That's
Yeah,
it, Kirkland.
I'm saving the calories for something special. So it's Kirkland
Well,
for
there
now.
you go. Whoop, there it is. What are we doing today?
We're doing the college admission scandal, which was requested. I had two people request that we do this, so we obliged.
No, thank you to those people because I know that Forenz would have not wanted to do it otherwise. And I watched it and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this would be really good to do. And then when I saw you guys tweet, I was like, praise Jesus, now she has to.
Yeah, no, it just wasn't my cup of tea, but
What, because of the reenactments?
yeah, and again, I just really don't like, guys, we've said this so many times, or at least I've said this. I don't really particularly like Netflix documentaries from a podcasting perspective. There's a lot of unnecessary stuff in it, and when they do these like docu-movie things as well, like I just want to follow the story, but then like the movies are always out of sync with the story, and it's just weird. So
Do you know what? This docu-movie wasn't, it didn't bother me as much as the social dilemma one, because this one was like actual conversations from like they were just it was actually reenactments of like actual conversations that were had, and I felt like in terms of like a podcasting perspective, like writing notes for it, you didn't really have to comment too much about those things. They just kind of helped to, it's almost as if they had so much footage in terms of like all these wiretaps that they were like, oh, might as well put it to use. Do you know what I mean? So it didn't really bother me. And as for the Netflix length, like that's just, it is what it is now. Like I'm not, it's like being surprised that a man did a trash thing. Of course a man did a trash thing. Do you know what I mean? Are we going to complain about it every single, well, we are going to complain about it every single time.
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean? It's just like I'm used to it now with the Netflix thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I enjoyed the documentary. And maybe more so in terms of what it was about.
Yeah, and another thing as well is like, even the subject matter, like I knew what it was. There was only one aspect that I didn't know about, but I knew all the stuff. So again, I was kind of like, okay, but yeah, it was a documentary. It was a documentary.
Anyway, guys, just for the listeners, I've told friends to start picking the documentaries from now on, just so that we get better vibes.
I think it's okay. It's okay if I don't like. I don't have to like it. I mean,
no, but it's nice. It's nice when you like it, because then your energy is more like.
I think I'll throw some shade at the documentary, and you guys
but we love the shade. We love the shade.
So the documentary opens up with us seeing like a compilation of students opening their college admission emails. And then we also see like this compilation of news stories on the Varsity Blues college admission scandal. And I remember like some of these college admission open videos because I saw quite a few. I think there was one where this black boy opened his email on like the Wendy Williams show or something, and then he got into Harvard. So there were a few of these things, and I don't know why it was such a big thing that particular year, because I think this was 2018. But like all these people like opening their college admissions on the internet. So I remembered a few of these clips. So as I said, Netflix does this docu-movie thing that it does. And like for those of you who didn't listen to the what episode?
Dilemma.
Yeah, the Social Dilemma. Just to give you like some insight, it's basically like when they've got like these movie elements to the
like
documentary inserts, in the documentary. Scenes. Yeah, but this one was different because, as BD said earlier,
I preferred this one. If I had to have one,
yeah,
I would prefer this one. Not a whole fucking movie written about some.
Yeah,
like the Social Dilemma one was like, okay,
yeah, it was very unnecessary. But like BD said, this depicted real conversations, so I guess that was interesting because you literally heard like their voices and everything on exactly what they said. But in terms of the movie itself, yeah, I could have done without.
What did you think about the acting?
Oh my god, the acting was really like the only way I could. It's kind of like porn acting. Like you could really tell these people wanted to like blow from here, and into something bigger.
But apparently, one of the guys in it is like a famous actor. Like I was watching
Yeah,
with my
well, I
sister, and she
recognized him.
recognized him.
I just couldn't remember where I'd seen him, but and I couldn't be bothered to search.
Yeah, no, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
Another thing, Netflix, you really need to get the program. Amazon has this really cool thing where, like, when you're watching a show or something, you can hover over and it shows you all
And
the
see
people
the
in that
actors.
scene.
Yeah,
Yeah, like,
I
do
love that
that.
about Prime Video.
Do that. Like, but yeah, there was a famous actor. And then also, guys, I flagged this later on and I'll flag it again. But one of the guys who was part of the scandal also played himself in the movie bit. And I was just like, bro, like, I
Wait, who
mean,
are
I
you
guess he
talking
needed a
about?
check. I'll tell you when we get there. But
Okay.
yeah, I guess he super duper needed a check, which is understandable. So, okay, we hear about this guy called Rick Singer, and he's an independent college counselor, and he's basically the mastermind between this whole scandal because everybody knows about this scandal, unless you're living under a rock, because there were loads of celebrities and super rich people involved in it. And off the bat, I would just say this should just be called like white privilege and
White
uni.
privilege, white tears.
Yeah, literally, because yeah. So we actually learned that this scandal dates back like many years. And the talking heads tell us that one of the talking heads tells us that from his own investigation into Rick's life, basically, he's always been deceptive. So yeah, the scandal may have started way back when, but Rick himself has always been a dodgy Dave.
He's been trash.
Yeah, he's been trash. So basically, for people who are listening and are like, oh my gosh, what is a college counselor, independent college counselor, especially people in the UK? Basically, an independent college counselor helps wealthy kids get through the college admissions process. And as Rick was the only one in the field in this area of Sacramento where he lived, he was very sought after. Now, it's not like it exclusively says only for wealthy people or wealthy white people, but just by the fact that it's very expensive to have an independent college
Yeah, by
counselor, only
virtue of like
wealthy,
what is required. It's like
which is
it's like with loads
cash.
of things. It doesn't say whites only, but it's like, okay, you know that only white people know about this or can afford this,
Exactly.
and therefore it's whites only.
Literally. So they don't have to say no niggas allowed for you to know that this ain't
But no
your
niggas
scene.
were allowed.
So, it starts to come out that Rick was offering to get people into college for a small amount of money, which is obviously kind of like underhand. Was it underhand, under table? I don't know.
Both
both of them, literally. And he starts changing college admissions. So like in the admission box where you pick your ethnicity, he would make them out to be ethnic minorities.
Fam.
So that they would get literally.
So this blackfishing didn't start yesterday then.
Literally, like Rachel Dollar's out. This is the origin story.
Diallo.
Literally. And he also lies about his own credentials and working history. So there were many talking heads in this documentary, so I did not write their names down. If there was anyone you wrote down that you thought was particularly special, let me know. I did not.
I don't believe there was not one.
Yeah. They all
Oh no, I did. The only one that I speak about is the one that
don't tell me
the guy.
Okay, cool.
The guy, the guy. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah. So our talking heads basically talk about how college is a commodity and colleges are everything. Are doing everything to make themselves look more prestige and become less and less about education itself. So as I said, you have the talking heads talking, and I really do actually like when documentaries do this where people are sat like with a screen behind them on a chair. I just like it. I really like that vibe. It's very crisp and clean. And whilst this is the premise of the documentary, you have the people talking, you don't have any a lot of real life footage because you have the people talking and then you have the movie. That's basically what we see.
The extent of the real life footage is the dialogue from the wiretaps, which is used for the reenactments.
Yeah. So one of our talking heads says,
most people see college admissions, it's based on merit, except for affirmative action for minorities. My view of the admissions process is all sorts of different preferences with, yes, some students getting in on pure merit, but many others getting in due to preferences that skew rich and white.
And this guy actually worked in the admissions kind of area of one of the Ivy League universities. Yeah. So some of these merits, you guys may be wondering, like, what merits are these? Well, they're things like niche sports, such as sailing, fencing, horseback riding, which only rich white kids will do.
How many niggas you know who fence?
like since the Django days, how many niggas you know riding horses? Like, this
Bruh.
is the thing. Like, I'm trying to say, this is not to say black people or other ethnic minorities do not participate, but when you go, first of all, how many ethnic minorities are wealthy in America, and then how many of those ethnic minorities have the access to do some of these things? So
And it's not even just about
therefore,
like being able to know where you can go to do these things. Even if you have like you know where to go to play fencing, you know, to
yeah,
fence, yeah.
yeah.
Like all the equipment, all the gear and stuff is enough to price you out of wanting to do that sport anyway.
Exactly. Because you need to be rich to do this, like stupid rich. So another way people get into college outside of merit, these are massive donations. So like, okay, if you watch like a lot of American TV, you might hear people like make fun of like the preppy rich white guy and say, oh, like, what did your dad have to do to get you in here? Donate this building, donate this wing, do this, do that. Like, it sounds all like fun and games, but this shit is real. Like, people really do donate buildings to universities.
Right.
And unfortunately, because America is the closest thing to a free free market that you'll see in like modern day society, where the government basically leaves people to do whatever the hell they want, it's extremely capitalist. Even something like education is seen as like a money making venture, because you will hear massive
if
amounts.
Prison is, how much more education?
You will hear massive amounts of money that parents, and already like school fees in America are astronomical, but you will hear like of parents putting in a massive amount of money just to hopefully secure their kids. Yeah. Without guarantee. So one of the people whose parents donated a lot of money to get them into Harvard was Jared Kushner. Who is Jared Kushner? Jared Kushner is married to Ivanka Trump. Who is Ivanka Trump? None other than President Cheeto Puff's daughter. So this is Trump's daughter. So yeah, he was admitted, and Jared Kushner had very basic like grades. Like, if his father wasn't his father, he wouldn't have gotten into Harvard.
Very much.
No, ma'am.
Tell him how much. Tell him how much he pledges to Harvard.
Oh, 2.5 million.
Million.
Just casual. Just. Can you imagine how much money you need to have that you can then donate 2.5 million?
This is what
because
I was trying to say about the paintings last week.
And like, if you shook me and you squeezed me, you wouldn't get 1 million. You wouldn't get 500,000.
It's wild. And you know what? And you know the point that I think it comes up later as well is that, so Jared Kushner, right, as we've established, basic grades, average, like just an average Joe, right? Average Jared's, yeah. But his dad can afford to get him into Harvard, essentially. And that's not to say that, it is to say that he wouldn't have gotten in if not for that donation, right? But it's like, because that kind of man has gotten into Harvard, he will believe that, or he'd be made to believe that it was on his own merit, that he is capable. And this kind of man is the same kind of person who will say, oh, you just need to work hard and pull yourself up by the bootstraps. But it's like, this is why privilege is a thing, because you cannot, it doesn't matter how hard you worked or how much you studied for those SATs or whatever test they take, you weren't good enough. You wouldn't have been good enough to get in. Like your chances were significantly increased by the fact that your father donated 2.5 million. And how many people's fathers can donate 2.5 million?
Yeah. And even
you want to tell me I should have worked harder?
And this, outside of this might seem like a reach, but just follow me here. Even outside of this also breeds that, like, adds to like rape culture and entitlement of a lot of these rich white people, because like, your father can buy you a place in anywhere, so therefore you feel entitled to any and anything you want, like, because you are white and you are rich, you have money.
And his father. That's why you get the Harvey Weinsteins of the world.
Exactly. Literally.
It's like, how dare you tell me no? I bought my way into Harvard.
And this all adds to like, it all adds to rape culture. It's a disgusting
Everything
cycle.
Is connected. Yeah.
So the thing with these donations, because I know some of you are like, okay, so if you can just donate this money, why didn't Felicity Huffman do that? Well, the thing with these checks is they weren't a guarantee for a place. And also, like, you needed to donate a lot of money for your admission to Eve. So, like, there was a bit where someone was like,
look at you.
Yeah, there was a bit where someone was like, oh, can I donate $1 million? And they were like, well, that's not really going to move the gauge. Yeah. Like, you're talking big numbers with no guarantee that your kid is going to get a place.
Exactly.
So Singer sees a gap in the market and he's like, yo, I can guarantee a
gap
place.
In the market.
Literally, he's like, I can guarantee your kid gets a place for less than half of the price, which is still like, because that's one thing rich people like is money, so they're going to want to spend less money for the same for an even better result. because that's how they keep their
Exactly.
money.
It makes sense. If I was a rich person in that situation, why am I giving Harvard 2.5 mil when I can give
Literally.
Singer half a mil and
And
guarantee? I don't even have to hope and pray.
so one of the interesting things I found about this documentary, which I didn't know before I watched the documentary, was a lot of these kids actually didn't know what their parents were doing to get them into college.
And so this, I think, I understand why, because like plausible deniability, right? I understand why you wouldn't want to get your kid involved. But then it's like, that just goes back to the point I was making about Jad Krishna, more so in this case, because you truly believe that you are an amazing person and you're so intelligent. And I didn't even have to work hard in school when I got in because I'm so smart and I'm so amazing. And you're being fed this lie because your parents are going behind your back to lie and pay to get you into college. And you would turn around and tell someone who worked really hard and didn't make it, oh, well, all I did was work hard. This is why you have to take all this information in these Twitter threads with a pinch of salt, because you don't know what's happening behind the scenes. Do you know what I mean?
100% true.
You cannot compare yourself to anybody else.
So now we learn a bit about Rick Singer, the mastermind, as we said, behind this whole scheme. And Rick was from a very obscure background. And I feel like a lot of these con men always are. It's like they didn't grow up with that silver spoon. So like they want to do any and everything to get there. It's like Catch Me If You Can, if you've watched that movie.
Yeah.
So he had an unhappy childhood. His parents split up. He was super smart and he had the gift of the gab. And he went to multiple colleges. We never really learn why he does. But he ends up becoming a basketball coach. And this is the genesis of where, like, this is the birth story of this scam. Because what he does is, because he's a college because he's a college basketball coach, he understands athletic admissions, which ultimately helps him in understanding how to bribe coaches and different people in the athletic kind of sector.
Admissions
because athletic admissions and scholarships are a massive part of like American like the American educational system. So like if you see like a lot of kids who do like basketball or football, American football, they're doing it to get to college because it's the only way they can afford to get to college. You come and you're expected to play and do this and do that because that's your payback to the team, and the team then so on and so forth. And it's also a massive money making venture, which is why like it's really like important for a school for the division a school is in. Like when I was studying in America, my school was like a D1, Division 1, and like some of the coaches for these schools that are like Division 1, like they get paid millions. So like, can you imagine a basketball coach in uni in England, what they're earning? These coaches get paid millions. So there's so much that goes into it, but it's basically really important for a school to be really good in its sports and a way for you to get in. So now we meet John Vandermoor, and
this is the guy that I remember his name.
Yeah, up until the end, I really was feeling for this guy, but my opinions of him change.
Oh really?
So,
Mine didn't change.
He's a sailing coach at Stanford, and he meets up with Rick, who introduces himself as obviously an independent college counselor. So they speak about recruiting, which in Stanford basically works by each sport being given a certain amount of kids that they can recruit into the college,
like
basically.
Places,
and so Rick is asking, okay, I've got this girl, Molly Zoe, can you bring her in on the sailing club, basically, via a sailing club kind of recruit? And John's like, listen, I filled my quota for this, week or for this intake, so no, I can't.
Academic year,
Literally. So then Rick is like, okay, can the family donate $1 million? And John's like, okay, well, let me go speak. And even the fact that this is a thing, and this isn't even like an illegal thing, like families can donate monies to schools in like to further their kids' chances, that even the fact that this is allowed is extremely problematic to me. Yeah. So John goes and speaks to his like boss, and his boss is like, yeah, like $1 million. This is where we hear that $1 million isn't really going to do much. And then Rick's like, okay, cool. Like, I'll holler at you later. Like, say no more. Next thing, Molly gets in Stanford, and Rick calls John and is like, yo, like Molly's in Stanford, thanks. And Rick is like, John's like, I didn't do anything, but okay. And he's like, okay, I'm going to donate $500,000 to the sailing club. And John was like, okay, well, you can, but I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And so John gets his check, takes it to his, like, the dean of admissions and the executive of the sports whatever, and they're like, oh cool, yeah, we know who Rick is, thanks for the admissions, like this is great. And they all kind of have this conversation about how John essentially did nothing and just got this amazing donation. So
Yeah.
let's park that piece of information.
Yeah, put a pin in that.
Put a pin in that. So now we're going to learn a bit about how the scandal itself works.
Right, tell him.
So we're looking at this from a Stanford point of view. So there's this woman called Heinel, and she's kind of like the gatekeeper. She's the oil that helps this whole machine work.
Machine run.
So Rick puts together a sports profile for a student, and then he puts all this fake shit in it. Like,
basically, like, as in, I think we need to really like exaggerate like the effort that goes into this. Photoshop.
it's a
like,
lot.
They will say
There's
this person's a
Photoshop.
swimmer. And obviously, because these people are rich, they have pools in their house, right? And so then they will take a picture in the pool, like a ball. I don't know, what is it that they play, polo or whatever the fuck sport they play in water, yeah? And so they will pose with that. And then they will superimpose the image, be doing up Photoshop to make it seem as though this person is actually playing in a match. Like, they do the same for rowing, they do the same for whatever sport that they need. And it's like, this is not just like deception. Like, this is
Full
so
on
premeditated.
like, it's fraudulent.
Yeah, it's fraudulent. Yeah, literally.
And the thing is that, like, I think this is something I didn't understand there was so much of an athletic angle towards the scandal.
Same.
But also, I think when I heard of the college admissions scandal, what I kind of thought were rich parents going to like the dean of admissions, giving him like a shitload of money, and then like their kids getting in. I mean, that was very kind of
I mean, that's bad enough.
salacious, but to know that is actually legal. That's actually legal. Like, you can do that. Donate money, maybe not to the dean, but you can donate money to school.
The thing is, you can. I think what is illegal is like donating in order to receive something in return. Even though that's what you're doing, it's not proven that you're doing that. It's kind of like saying, well, I just happen to donate 500,000, and my child happened to get in. You cannot prove that the two are linked.
Yeah.
Whereas with this whole admissions thing, it's like you can prove that they are linked.
Yeah. And I think that's where you really learn that there's a lot of deception here, because all the pictures and everything is very intentional. And these kids should not be going to college either, because did you not ask your mummy and daddy why you were in a pool taking pictures like this?
And did you not wonder how you got into Stanford when you don't do any AP classes and you just you barely get by at school?
Literally, you barely. So one of the talking heads is basically like, he doesn't understand how these things did not raise any alarms, which lets me feel
5'5" basketball player.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Which makes me feel like more people knew about this than like they let on, because there's a fast fight, like you said, a 5'5" basketball player, fake lacrosse players, water polo players who had never played water polo, by the way. And this
is a good point, because someone says that some of these sports, like, you don't just take up in the last year of college or school, whatever the man doing.
Yeah, you need to have been doing it for years.
Yeah, like, you would have been doing it, and it would have been like, you know, you're playing these sports. You don't just suddenly just wake up and decide, oh, I'm going to play lacrosse. Like, that's not something you just do in the last year of high school.
Literally. So whenever these red flags would come up in meetings, Hannah would act as the liaison, and she would smoothen things out. And then the kids would essentially be accepted without even applying. And then the parents would then send money, and these kids would come to the unis and they would just not show up for practice. And this would work because the admission board relies on coaches to say the athletes are coming to the team and practicing. But I found that kind of weird, because say I'm a coach and I've got 60 places for this year.
Yeah.
To make up a team, and then I accept 3 of them on this scandal basis. I guess it wouldn't be 3, but say you accept 3 of them on a scandal basis, your team has then dropped from 60 to 57. So
but then
how
do
you
have bench warmers anyway? So
I guess it all balances out. So we now see a really sad clip, because basically we see all these kids. In the beginning, we saw all these kids getting accepted into college. Now we see all the rejections, and we see how heartbroken some of these kids are and how hard they've worked to get
I remember
into...
this, like, personally. I remember getting like 4 rejections in the space of a week. I remember, in Woodhouse we had like the learning center.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it
Yeah.
was called, that area. And like I remember just checking my email and I literally had like 4 rejections. And I remember being so sad and having like people who were crying on results day because they got really shit grades, rejoicing because they got all their offers. And I was just like, how have I got 4 rejections in the space of a
Rejections.
week?
Yeah.
I literally watched this clip and I just felt so sad for these kids because I was like, fam, I feel you, sis. It
Yeah, and
gets
you think your
better.
whole life is over.
Literally, you look back and you're like, bruh.
Life hadn't even started.
Hadn't even started.
So, yeah, this is super sad because you just know that there are other kids whose parents are buying them entry into these Ivy League schools. And some of these kids are talking about how many like different lessons they do and how hard
Yeah,
they
AP
work and
this, extra
how
this,
they would not be
band.
taking half these like courses if it wasn't to get into these schools. And it's
Yeah, the girl
these are
saying that
kids
she's
who
like, I
are
really don't enjoy it.
literally, these are kids that are hungry to learn. Like they want to actually
Yeah,
go
they
to
want to be
school.
there. Yeah. So sad.
So after Felicity Huffman, I think this particular family scandal bit was the biggest of the celebrity uni scandal things because in enters Olivia Jade, the YouTuber. And Olivia Jade is like, if white privilege was a
This is the poster child for
young
white privilege.
woman, yeah, like this is what she would be. This is what it would look like. So she is the daughter of Lori Loughlin. I don't know who
Yeah.
she is, but she was in Full House. And some fashion designer I'd never heard of. But obviously they have money. And basically, Lori and her husband have 2 kids, Bella and Olivia Jade. And they want them to get into an Ivy League school. So what they do is they pose them on rowing machines and make them appear as if they do coxswain. So coxswain is basically the rowing thing. That's what they
I
call
learned
it.
that from this documentary.
Yeah, same.
I was like, what the fuck is a coxswain? Like, I was like,
Yeah, literally. So we now see multiple videos of Olivia, and she's basically saying she doesn't really want to go to college. She wants to drop out of high school. And you know what? Fair enough. She has an extremely successful YouTube career. She technically doesn't need to be continuing education because even if she didn't, her parents have a shitload of money. So I understand why she didn't want to do it. But her parents are pushing her and saying she
because
has
they
to
didn't go to college.
Exactly. So in 2017, Heinel presents Olivia as a recruit with her athletic profile to USC, and she's given a conditional offer. Rick then tells her parents that she's been accepted, but they need to keep it hush-hush till March so that, people don't talk. And basically, there's this guidance counselor. If you guys have watched Bob's Burgers, I can just imagine this guidance counselor being like the one from Bob's Burgers because they hate their guidance counselor and they always make fun of him, Mr. Front. And I just imagine it being the same vibe. So there's this guidance counselor and apparently Olivia hates him. Her parents hate him. The dad hates him. Everyone hates him. And he becomes a bit suspicious because, he sees that her sister got accepted into like this Ivy League school. And then Olivia does. And he's like, their grades aren't that great. And also she doesn't do coxswain. So what the hell is going on?
And also, it's like, it's so bait because you vlog your whole life, right? And not once have you ever vlogged any kind of training, not mentioned any kind of anything. So it's so obvious that this is not your bag.
It's
like,
a
you don't
scam,
do this.
Yeah.
Especially these, like we were saying, these rich white people sports, like, you have to practice. You can't just practice in your house.
Yeah,
do you know what
literally.
I mean? Like,
literally.
It's just so odd. Like, you didn't even try. Like, it's so obvious.
It's
and
audacious.
Teachers know, very audacious. Teachers know, like, students' ability, but for the most part, some of them are haters. But so the guidance counselor also, like, obviously is like, okay, this, no offense, but sis is not getting into USC. Like, this is strange.
Yeah. So the guidance counselor's on a call with the dean of admissions, which is stupid of the way they did this scam, because also like the likelihood is these schools talk to each other, because it's just like they have some top, it's just like some universities talk to some like top law firms or whatever. Like these schools are going to talk to each other. This is where the creme de la creme is coming from. They're going to talk. So he's talking and he's like, yeah, this girl has never participated in this sport. Like, I don't know what you lots are doing.
Yeah.
So Olivia's dad, being I guess the hot-headed Italian he is, he rolls up to the school and he has
stereotype.
he has it out with the guidance counselor, and he makes a scene and basically tells him to keep his kind of mouth shut and keep out of his girl's business. Yeah. So Heinel Heinel is notified about this and tells Rick that, listen, people need to get their shit under control before their spot
Yeah.
blows up.
The thing is,
Which
the
is
dad is even
fair
dumb. You
enough.
know you're doing fuckery, yeah, and you come and shout and making loud. Instead of you to bring
Instead
him
of send him a
chocolate.
hamper, literally send him a hamper
Exactly.
with all the exclusive wines that he would never get on a guidance counselor's salary. You're going and you're
Trust me.
grabbing him by the shirt collar. Your time is finished, bro. You are done.
Finished. You're out of here.
So basically, we're back to Vandermoor, and Rick is like applying pressure to him to take a look at a kid that he has and saying that he'll donate 110,000 to the sailing club, which was, as we learned, very underfunded. And again, with these schools, they have these. So this is what Rick did. Rick would go and he would look at niche sports. So again, like sailing, horseback riding, these were completely underfunded.
No one's gonna believe that with American football.
Exactly.
Every space
and
is valuable.
basketball. Exactly. So he would really massage and work with these areas of sports, basically, rather than the big ticket items, because nobody was looking for these at these small sport areas, and also they needed funding.
Yeah.
So
how many times is this airport gonna fall out my ear? I'm gonna start counting. This is number 1.
So basically, after obviously offering the large sum of money, he gets John on board. So the thing we find out
do you
is,
feel like at this point that John knows the extent of what's going on?
Yeah, I didn't know as I was watching it. I didn't know at this point, but by the end, I was like, yeah, John knew. Like he just sad that he got.
No, I didn't think that he knew, you know.
Obviously, Rick is a businessman. And his business is getting people to pay him for this shit. So we also found out that he would I mean, yeah. We also found out that he would convince parents that kids could not get in on their schools alone, even if the kids really did have good scores and could get in with without all this. He would convince them that they needed the process. I understand the point.
He's very manipulative, but it's also like, okay, cool. Your kid may get in with their scores. Maybe they're even likely to get in with their schools, but they're guaranteed to get in with me.
Yeah.
So it's like,
it's like, which one do you want to do? Russian roulette with your kid's future, or
exactly with your kid's future? And I think it's so easy to guilt trip parents into being like, okay, well, are you a shit mom? Are you a shit dad? Do you not want to help your child? And I think that's what a lot of them. Basically, there's that coupled with the entitlement of it all. So I'm not saying anyone's a victim here, besides the children who didn't have this as an option. You know?
Yeah, literally. So basically, one avenue Rick exploited or used to bolster his, opportunities of always being successful or whatever, was he would exploit the whole thing of kids with learning difficulties getting extra time during their test. So he would tell the parents to go and get their kids tested for learning difficulties, and the kids would pay extra, he would say, quote unquote, play dumb. And they would end up getting extra time. Then Rick would tell the parents to take their kids to do the test. So basically, he'd make it seem like, okay, we're going to go view schools in California, so you need to do your SATs or whatever test in California. Cool. The kids would go and do a test, and there would be a proctor who was somebody that was working with Rick. So the proctor would oversee the kid taking the test. Just the two of them would be in a test situation. And because the kids had learning difficulties, they would take their test on a separate sheet. Because I didn't understand the learning difficulties bit, but kids with learning difficulties don't take their test on the actual test paper itself. They take it on a separate sheet. I don't understand why.
The learning difficulties thing was just for extra time.
No, so they take it on a separate sheet. Right. And then they submit their sheet to the proctor. The proctor will then have a spare sheet where he fills in all the stuff and scraps what the kid actually wrote. Cool. And so when the test would come out, this kid would get perfect marks. Whatever marks Rick had discussed with the parents that seemed realistic and, above average for this kid, that's what the proctor would deliver. And then the kid would log in and see their test results and be like, whoa, I must have tested really great that day.
Yeah, and they actually did the test. So you can forgive them for feeling like they did well.
Yeah, literally. So now we meet the proctor, who's Mark Riddell, and he was a Harvard graduate who would, be the one to take these tests. He's super smart. And basically we see...
Harvard graduate,
So we see the white privilege in how he's described here, just the epitome of it. And one of the talking heads says,
one of the things that amuses me and annoys me when I see most of the reports around him being a, test-taking savant or whatever they choose to call him on the moment, he's an adult who's taking a test designed for 11th graders. Anyone worth their salt in the test preparation industry should be able to do what he did. The question is, will they be willing to do it?
and
Thank you.
literally,
I was so happy when he said that.
if you work and basically he's like, if you work in the business of preparing students for uni, which is what he does, then you should flipping be able to take this test. And it's because he's a white guy, because could you imagine if there was a black man taking tests for underprivileged black kids to get them into
he
good
would
schools?
be demonized.
Oh, criminal.
Vilified.
Oh, criminal. Stealing from our country. A scorn on the society. Blah, 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 blah. Here we have this guy who's described as a genius.
Harvard graduate taking a test, doing fucking not even
GCSE.
doing GCSEs. Harvard graduate doing GCSEs and succeeding, and you guys are saying, "Wow, this test taking
What
you."
a wow! Oh my god!
And the thing is, oh my
wow.
god! And it's a thing where it's like, from there's SAT season, right? So you're probably doing the same motherfucking tests, the same motherfucking SATs,
Same
each time.
You know this shit like the
Get
back
out
of
of
your
here.
hand. Get the fuck
Get
out.
the fuck.
So we learned that singer paid Riddell 10,000 per test, and Hikey, I would do it for 10,000 per test.
I would do it. GCSEs.
You could get your
pop.
If I was doing one a week, I'd
How
get
many
my
houses I'll
deposit
have?
in literally 5 tests. I'm set good.
I will do them simultaneous equations, B.
Listen.
You don't know about me.
So the key thing about this scandal is it's the wealthy who have the means and the willingness to take advantage of this corruption. And, therein lies the essence of this, this whole thing. Because it's only the rich and the wealthy that can even partake in this level of corruption.
Yeah,
it's not
certain levels
accessible
of crime that are above our pay grade. Like, I cannot be a certain kind of criminal because I don't have the money.
I can't be a key player in this, literally. So now we learn about the downfall. So we've seen who Singer is, how this started, what it entailed, and now we see the downfall.
The rise and now the fall.
Fall, literally. The crescendo. So it's kind of fate how it all happens, because it wasn't that somebody snitched or if this one thing hadn't have happened, which is kind of like the butterfly effect, Singer would still be doing what he does. So basically this one guy gets arrested on unrelated charges and decides to trade information for leniency. So he basically trades in Rudy Meredith. Rudy Meredith is one of the coaches who was receiving bribes from Singer.
And he's black. And that makes me really sad.
Yeah, it made me very sad. Rudy Meredith gets locked up Akon, and he is singing like a canary. He's like, oh, you want them notes? You think Beyonce got notes? Let me hit you with a few.
And so this is the thing as well, like Rudy snitches, right? And I want to just make it clear to the listeners that he snitches, and he's a snitch not because he cooperated with the police. He's a snitch because he cooperated with the police on a case that he was also involved in and implicated in order to save himself. If you are cooperating with the police, if you are telling them what happened, you are a civilian, you are just telling them what happened, that you're a witness, you know what I mean? That is fine. If you are participating in a crime and in order to save yourself, you go and tell on the people you crimed with, then you were going to add that to our dictionary, then you are a snitch.
Well, I mean, I believe in snitching though, because let me tell you something. If I go and commit a crime with somebody, and I didn't actually commit the crime, I was just, so say people go to rob a bank and they're like to me, I'll give you £10,000 to be the getaway driver, and I get caught. I'm snitching because...
Yeah, but you participated in the crime. You benefited from the commission of the crime.
But I was not the main participant. So that main participant is going down.
Participant. Listen,
because I'm not doing 20 years when I did not even run in, and then I could get 5.
Of course, you have to think. You have to think about yourself. And I'm not saying that. What I'm trying to do, is differentiate snitching from being a witness to a crime. In that bank robbery situation, you're not a witness to a crime. You crimed also.
Oh, yeah. There's a big difference. But I do wholeheartedly believe in snitching.
That's fine. That's cool. But I'm not robbing no banks with you. I'm going to do that shit solo.
Okay. So Rudy is hitting them Beyonce. No, he's hitting them Effie White notes, actually, because Effie White in Dreamgirls, Chef's Kiss. So he's hitting them Effie White notes. And he's like, okay, I got notes for you. Let me tell you about this nigga Rick. So
Mhm.
Meredith snitches about Nick and his fake whatever scandal. So once the FBI arrest Rudy and he spilled his guts, he's like, oh, cool. Let me set Rick up. So they set Rick up, telling Rick that,
Oh, I love
like
this
we've
bit.
got somebody who wants their kid to get into Harvard and wants to meet you, blah, 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 blah. And so Rick shows up at this hotel. He walks in and it's the FBI in the hotel room. I don't
And
really
that
feel like it went down like that, but yeah.
No, I think, do you know what? Maybe it didn't, but it was just so funny in in the movie thing, yeah, the reenactment. It's like he comes to this really nice hotel and he's like walking through and he knocks on the door and then this like lady FBI agent opens the door. It's like literally like an episode of like CSI or whatever. Pick any criminal show, yeah.
Law and Order
And she opens the
SVU.
door with her short. You know they have the short that
Yeah,
short.
I've got
hair-
black kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got the Karen. I've got black kids. Yeah,
And then she
haircut.
pulls out her
opens-
badge.
and she pulls out her badge and he's just looking and he's just like bewildered and it's like okay, dramatic effects.
Literally.
I loved it though.
So, okay, Rick gets got. And then, literally,
Long story short.
long story short, he gets got. And literally, it doesn't take him 2 seconds to be like, oh shit, like, not only am I going to sing a song of all these things, I will write you the song with the lyrics, make the tune, and yeah. So Rick
Yeah,
decides
and
to
distribute
sell,
it.
literally, and distribute. Rick decides to sell out all of his people then. He is like, if I'm
Everyone,
going
and so
down,
well.
I am not going down alone.
He does
And
it so well.
so well. So he decides to wear a wire. He's like, whatever you want me to do, I'm going to tap dance for you. He wears a
Bruh.
wire. He wears
He's
body
making
cam.
phone calls.
He's like, anything
yeah.
and everything you want, I'm going to give it to you good. So it's 2018 and we're in Stanford and poor John gets called. And this is
John.
one where he's being set up basically because the FBI are wiretapping everything.
Oh yeah, because
And
Rick calls John, right?
yeah. And basically, John tells us how, like, when he gets this call, he's getting ready to go meet someone. He's not really listening to what Rick says, so he's just in and eyeing. But the premise of this call was Rick really did spell out exactly what he was looking for. He said, I've got a student. I need you to get them into school as one of your recruits. I'll pay X amount of money. And, you do your thing. And John's like, yeah. And I feel like even if you're busy and you're, buttering your toast or whatever and making a cup of tea and you're just a minute eyeing to get someone off the phone, if somebody says something to you that is off the wall, you'll be alert and be like, yo, whoa, what are you talking about? John was very complicit in that conversation. It was like he knew. And you know what? The only reason I sympathize with him or empathize is because all the money John got from Rick went into the sailing club. So John was not doing this to drive a Ferrari
It
or
wasn't
to wear
self-serving.
lubes. Literally, it wasn't self-serving. It was literally like, I am in a really underfunded part of the school. I have students who are relying on me as a recruit and I will take this money and use it for them. I understand, but I just don't think he had no clue what was going on.
I don't know. So I'm trying to decide whether
And
I
also,
think
sorry
he was
to
just
say,
quite
but why would
naive.
Rick keep paying him? Which there was evidence he was doing. Why would Rick keep paying him if John was truly doing nothing?
So
I
this
get
is
that
the
you
thing,
do
I
nothing
feel like-
once, but
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like a part of it was just him being very naive about the whole thing. But yeah, also I don't know, like all these calls he was making, I was just like, fam, like, have you people never watched an episode of Power? Like, do you not understand that you're being set up? Who calls you to be like, oh, let's discuss the details of our crime on the phone right now, randomly out of the blue? Like, do you not think that's wait? It's like you calling me and being like, oh, hey, do you remember that time when we went to da and we did it? I said, I don't know who. That wasn't me.
yeah. But that's why they say that, like, Rick is very lucky that it's white collar crime because white collar criminals living their cushy life, driving their cars, not knowing,
And
kind of
they
their
don't think
cushy
anything
nerf
bad
life.
will happen.
Yeah, literally. But like, if he was talking to like hardened drug dealers, he probably would not
there's
have
no
gotten
way.
away with this shit.
He would have been made in
He would have been made.
2.5
They
seconds.
would have cut his head off or cut his horse's head off and put it in bed with him.
Why the horse gotta die, man? Why does the horse gotta die?
So one of the talking heads said something which I really also think is interesting. He was basically like, this is a weird setup because usually you seek out the buyers which lead you to the distributor, and then your job is done. You're not really looking at these small time
You
fish.
work your way up.
Yeah, but this way it was backwards because they had Rick selling a product and then they were searching for the buyers.
Yeah.
Maybe the fear was that if Rick got made, they would just seek somebody else out. I don't know, but it was weird. I felt like if you
It
had
was
Rick,
weird.
yeah, if you had Rick, what do you need these other people for? But I guess it's a fuck you to white rich America.
I think that, and I also think that it's like Rick was only successful because of these parents, and like these, it's almost like using them as an example to like teach other parents that like,
Yeah.
okay, cool, you can try this, but it's not, you're going to get caught kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas like with like drug users, it's like, okay, man, do you know what I mean? How many people are you going to arrest
Yeah,
for crack cocaine?
yeah, it's
like,
true. You're gonna have to arrest half of the flipping country.
and
So
you once you try it.
literally, so John gets spoken to by the FBI, and basically, this is where I saw John playing himself in a movie. He played himself in a movie.
Did he?
Yeah, he did, and I was like, bro, I know you need to check, but shit.
No, he needs to check, man.
He was charged with tax fraud, mail fraud, and wire fraud, each count carrying 20 years in prison.
Whew.
And the idea was that he helped Rick get people who weren't sailors into Stanford. Stanford was willing to testify against him. Rick was willing. So it seemed like he just didn't have a case-based game. Obviously, that tape was very damaging. So in the end, he pleads guilty.
So, but I know we're debating whether he, knew or didn't know, naive or whatever, but like, do you feel like that carries, like, 60 years? These FBI people know how to just put on charges, because it's like, there's no way that guy deserves 60 years.
But he wouldn't have gotten 60 years either which way.
I mean, but you're looking at 60 years. You're gonna do and say whatever it is.
They do it to
Are you
scare
gonna take that
you.
risk?
Yeah.
Me, I will be scared. I'm scared.
Yeah. So in the end, John gets hate mail. A lot of it. He loses his job. He loses his healthcare. He gets a $10,000 fine, but no jail time. And now we're rounding up, basically. Rick Singer is back in Sacramento. Because he's still helping the FBI, he hasn't been charged. He's telling people he's not going to jail. He still swims. Laurie gets 2 months in prison, and Felicity Hoffman gets 14 days.
14 days? Why did you even bother?
Literally, it was very cheeky. So one of the talking heads said something really interesting, or it really struck a chord with me.
No good will have come out of these sentences or out of this scandal. The fines they've been given, meaningless in terms of hitting them in their pocketbook. What a difference it could have made if we hit them hard and put that money to work for underprivileged kids. That would have been amazing. Then you can say at least some good came of it.
And
Yes,
I agree.
I agree.
These 14-day whatevers, they're going to do fuck all. There's not even any stigma with the fact that Felicity Hoffman is a felon. Like, nobody even cares.
Yeah.
Like, she's still
No one's
a rich
doing CRB
woman.
checks on her anyway. She's still going to work. And
she's
do up with
still
the
going to
net.
work. So is Laurie.
Yeah.
Like, there's no shame. Like, Olivia Jade still posts and has her YouTube standing. She even
She's
has,
even
like...
on Red Table Talk.
Literally, she even has, like... Oh, God. She even came out and said she felt victimized. Sis, I'm stupid. So, no, justice was not served. It was...
at all.
Yeah. So one of the talking heads also says that we should blame the colleges because they've created this system.
Yep.
And
agree.
they've also benefited from this scandal because this
And
scandal
they've not been punished at all.
Literally, the
It's
scandal
your
makes
staff that are doing
it's your
this.
staff, it's your mandem. The scandal just makes them seem more exclusive, and normal everyday people are thinking, "Whoa! If rich people are willing to go to jail to send their kids there, then what more me?" And then the black talking head says that this whole scandal, okay, just shows that because people are sitting here and thinking, why would you do this? These kids are already privileged. Whether they get a Harvard education or not, they will be set good, because you guys are
like the
wealthy.
ice in
They
the
can
freezer.
just join daddy's business. And he's basically saying that this scandal has highlighted the toxicity that dwells in rich white America, because it's not about the education. It's about, I have everything obtainable and I want to enter this exclusive club. And my kid going to this Ivy League school is part of a club. So I have to have it.
Yeah.
It's nothing to
And I
do
will
with
pay
how
for
good
it
the
at any
education is.
cost.
Yeah. Yeah, literally. So it basically ends with us seeing like pictures of everybody who was involved in videos of people who were involved in scandal, what their pleas were and what they got. Most of the people who were sentenced got months in prison. I think I saw the max
longest
was like
sentence was
6
7 months.
Yeah, 7. They wouldn't serve that. Yeah, so that was the end of the college admissions scandal.
The John guy, the John guy, he now coaches sailing independently.
I didn't know that.
Stanford say that they donated all the funds that they received from these donations, which I don't believe.
No.
Rick Singer's still free. He pled guilty, but he's awaiting sentencing. And yeah, not everyone's actually been sentenced yet, but yeah. At the end, they were like, yeah, the side door, so Rick Singer's way is closed, but the back door is still open.
So you can still donate a shitload of money and hopefully...
And maybe get in.
Guys, yeah, that was the college admissions scandal. It was interesting, and I mean, it didn't tell me anything I didn't know, which is that, like, if you're money and if you've got money and you're white, then life is different for you. It's a different standard.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't know that's how it went down, so that was interesting.
Yeah, it was. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the priv is all I can say.
The priv.
Someone did actually make a point basically saying that, like, it's not necessarily that, like, there's not enough colleges for everyone to go to. It's just everybody wants to go to the same colleges. And that's also because of the whole, like, prestige thing. And it's like, if we just kind of took that power away from these colleges and just applied to all these other colleges, it would be fine. But that would never happen because, it would never happen. So.
And even that guy that was talking, he was talking from also a place of white privilege, because he was like, you can go to any college and get an excellent education. And it's like, bro,
then where will I work?
Where will I be? Exactly, because you can go to like something tech, any polytechnic and come out with a degree, and there's nothing wrong with it if that's what you want, but you can go anywhere and get a degree. But especially as a black person, you have to be 10 times better than a white person just to be at the same place as a mediocre white person. So
I can be black and go to Harvard. It doesn't guarantee me shit, let alone me going to Polytechnic to try and also do the same thing. Yeah.
So stop it.
It's easier said than done. But yeah.
Yeah.
What are we doing next?
We are doing what's his name? Louis Theroux. The meth.
Louis Theroux, the city addicted to.
Is it Theroux or Thoreau?
It's Theroux.
Oh,
do you know why? Because I remember someone doing a remix and I was like, I gotta get through this. I gotta get through this. I gotta make it through this. But I'm sure he'll say his name in the doc, so that I can just check what it is.
I'm really excited for that one. I really love him, and I love all his documentaries.
He's such good vibes. He's my babe, honestly.
He adds. I think he's on the spectrum, but adds to his personality,
and he's so unapologetically himself. Like no matter who he's around or what he's doing, like it's so endearing as well. Like to see him be him around any and everyone.
Everybody,
and it's like I've just never seen anyone who doesn't like him. Like if you don't like Louis Theroux, you are bad.
You are bad vibes. You are the problem.
You are. So we're gonna play the trailer for you next. But before then, when can they find us? Thursday. But where can they find us?
You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at 2girls1doc. Oh, and YouTube as well. Yeah, I always forget YouTube.
So YouTube episodes will be released on the Friday after the Thursday that they're released on DSPs. Where can they find you?
They can find me on Twitter and Instagram, 4ends with 2 underscores, and also my other podcast, Character Replay. And oh my gosh, you can also find us at 2girls1doc on TikTok.
Oh, underscore. 2girls1doc
underscore. Yes, we finally joined Gen Z. We're going to be the geriatrics on there, but we've done it.
We did indeed. So I'm going to play the trailer.
Wait, where can I find you?
Oh, on Instagram and Twitter at BDOnEyewear, and also BDOnEyewear.com. But yeah, we're going to play the trailer for you. So yeah, welcome to the Louis Theroux fan club.
All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.
How much meth would you have to take to become that badly damaged by it?
Well, crystal meth, it has, it's basically poison, and it affected my nerve system.
You took so much meth it affected your nervous system?
Yeah, it affects your nerve system, and I have,
your receptors are going
like
so
movements,
fast
and I have, like, jaw movements that is acting up in my body. Crystal meth, what happens is, it deteriorates your teeth, right?
Can you show us your teeth?
It rottens up your teeth, and it actually just tears them all up, see? Tears them all up. See? Ties them all up.
I was in Fresno, California, on the trail of the world's most abused hard drug.
You're up so high, you're spinning like a kite, you're biting your teeth, you're grinding them because you don't even know what your body's doing. Your eyes are going 100 miles an hour in every direction.
What is it? Crystal meth. Methamphetamine, or crystal meth, is a derivative of speed. Cheap and easy to produce, it can be devastating for those who get addicted.
Face the other way. Face away from me.
I hate not being clean, but I hate being clean. You know, I'm messed up by using again.
I was hoping to understand the hold the drug exerts over its users by spending time in the world of the hardcore addicts.
Does it look tempting, Louis? Huh? Look tempting?
And so I'd come to one of the worst affected areas in America.